Hi there. Just get the camera thing working. There we go. Hi, my name's Catherine. I'm from New Zealand. That's the islands next to Australia where the hobbits come from. Um, I just watched your video starting a 1974 Mercury or something. Not a car I'm familiar with, but it was an old V8 engine. And just wanted to say thank you. It was a good, fun video to watch for a bit. Um, over the years, I bought a few old cars and got them going. I didn't know there was a special tool to get the oil pressure up. With the old, like English cars, you've got the hand crank, and you can just crank it over a few times. Um, or of course, you can use like a large socket on your handle, put that on the crankshaft nut by the radiator there, and sort of turn the engine over a few times and get the oil pressure up that way. Um, but yeah, if you've got a special tool to do it, I guess that gets the oil pressure up before trying to start it. Um, yeah, the other idea I've used a few times, you couldn't really use it on cars that new enough to have lots of electronic stuff in them. Many years ago, a friend, they were into American cars, and here in New Zealand and even Australia, they're quite rare. Um, and he said, like, he bought this old Chevy for $20. And I said, oh, yeah, okay, could probably strip a few parts off it for $20, you know, it wouldn't be much of a car. And he said, oh, I had it going later that day. I said, what? And he said, 12-volt start. I said, what? He said, 12-volt start. He said, well, they're normally only a 6-volt car. He said, it's been sitting for a few years. He said, you put 12-volt battery in it. And I said, oh, that can't be good for the starter and all that. And he said, well, what's going to be worse for it? Putting it on the recommended voltage and cranking it over for ages and ages and ages, or giving it a higher voltage and it starts in a few seconds. Since he told me that trick, and I've never had a 6-volt car, but I've had quite a few 12-volt cars, and I've often been the sort of last owner of them. I've ended up owning them till they got really, really sick, and I'm thinking of one car I had here, and in the end it was so bad you had to put 24 volts on it, and you had to hold it there give it quite a bit of trying to get it to start. Once it started, it was fine. Once you got it started, you could, for the first time, for that day, fine, it'd go good all day, you start on. But yeah, so, and I think that's also a trick you can use if it's a lot of snow, if you're in areas which are extreme cold, because of course a 12-volt battery, when it's really cold, as in sub-zero Celsius, so below freezing, um, below the freezer, below 32 Fahrenheit, um, your 12-volt battery is not going to give you the whole 12 volts anyway. So even if you put two of them together, if you're only getting a couple of 9 volts out of them, you're only getting 18. So you know. But yeah, and one old car I had once, I had two old car batteries, and neither of them were much good. But I charged them both up throughout the week. Come Saturday, put them in the car, put one in the car, turned the key, wound it till it was flat, wouldn't start. You only got a couple of tries. Put the other battery in, wound it till it was flat, wouldn't start. Over the next week, I charged the batteries up, a couple of days each battery on a slow charger. I did that four weekends in a row. And last weekend I thought, I'm going to get this thing to start. So then I put the two batteries that I'd already flattened in series, using a jumper cable or whatever, the booster leads, whatever you want to call them. And it started. And again, you know, it was an old engine. Once it started, it was fine. So using a 12-volt start on a 6-volt system, or a 24-volt start on a 12-volt system, especially with cars with DC generators, so we're talking about cars from the 50s and 60s, not so much the American, more the British, you know, it doesn't hurt the electric system as such. You don't turn the lights on, and with the DC system, the DC regulator doesn't engage. Yeah, I've done it with AC. I've done it with cars with alternators, like 1970s-ish cars. But yeah, I used the jumper cables to jump the voltage, so I was putting 24 volts across the starter motor, but not across all the rest of the car, by being able to get onto the solenoid, touching it, so I get the extra voltage through that way. I can't remember, there was some way of doing it. Anyway, just wanted to say thank you. I love to see videos of old engines living again, and cars that would otherwise be consigned to scrap heap or something, and someone's got them and restored them, and got the engines going and all that kind of thing. So it's really good to see, and thank you from the other side of the world. Bye. Stop. There's a stop button here somewhere.